Hi, this is Joanne Victoria, and if you are starting your new online business during COVID-19, we have hot information for you on doing your own trademarks. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Sanity Project podcast, where you can awaken your mind to clarity and success even in today's life challenges. We're here to provide insights and solutions that will help you live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. Here's your host, Joanne Victoria.
Today's guest is Nicole Schaefer. Nicole Schaefer is a trademark attorney who lives in Portland, Oregon, and she loves to help startups and women-owned businesses to protect their brands. Nicole has written a book called DIY Trademarks and Coronavirus, and I'll tell you later in the show how to get a copy of that. Nicole is going to teach listeners all about trademarks and how to protect your brand, which to me is very important because I work with a lot of people who own their own businesses, self-employed entrepreneurs, etc., and they have different names different than their own personal names for their businesses. And I think they need protection. So I found Nicole on LinkedIn. I tracked her and invited her here. So I'm really grateful that she said yes, because I think this is part of the information when people are doing startups like I help my clients to do. They don't know that this is a piece of that puzzle. So welcome to the show, Nicole Schaefer.
Oh, thank you. My name's Nicole Schaefer, and I am located in Portland, Oregon, and I own my own law firm, Yellow Dog Legal. And I got into law because I didn't know what else to do, to be honest, after college. And people told me I was good at arguing, so yeah. And then I've tried pretty much almost every area, family law, criminal law, just a lot of different areas until I stumbled onto trademarks and realized that was what I wanted to do. So here I am.
Tell people what a trademark is.
Sure. So a trademark is a federal protection, a federal registration of your name or your logo or your slogan, anything related to your business, branding would be a trademark.
So, for example, if I or someone else attempted to use the golden arches for McDonald's, what would happen?
You'd get a cease and desist letter before you could say anything. Essentially that's exactly what it's about. It's protecting business owners and brands from people infringing on them. It's also stopping business owners from infringing on other people. And ultimately, the main goal is to avoid consumer confusion. So that way people see those arches and they know that it's McDonald's, and they therefore aren't buying French fries somebody made in their oven. So.
Got it. So I've read from time to time, then I can't remember specifics, how some people, for example, in other countries, not the USA, because I don't know how this goes worldwide, and you'll explain that a bit. But if some people in other countries using portions of other people's business designs, and I think the most recent one I read was a Starbucks thing in England. I'm not sure.
And that can definitely happen because you do have to register in every country where you want to be protected individually. But it can happen anywhere. And I mean, I'm sure Starbucks went after them because
they did. That's what got my attention. Yeah. Yeah,
they're pretty quick about that as well. But yeah, it can definitely happen to anyone, to Starbucks, to, Nike.
So you have part of the trademark process means you not only record documentation in the U.S., but in any country that you think you will be working in.
Yes. Definitely. You would have to register in those individual countries. So if you were planning on selling stuff in Ecuador, you would want to register there as well as the United States. Canada has their own system. So yeah, everybody has a different registration.
So if you have an online business, which I think you might answer in your book, DIY Trademark and Coronavirus, which we will tell people how to find before we end the show. If you're in an online business, not a brick and mortar business, does the same thing apply? The same rules apply where you have to trademark your business in other countries? I mean, this is a global thing.
Yeah, it still applies. I mean, you don't have to register your business in other countries unless you wish to. The nice thing about trademarks is that if you register in the United States, you'll be protected in all 50 states. So there is that. But yes, even with an online business, if you chose to market to other countries and stuff, you may want to register in those countries as well.
Okay, so what is the most important thing about a trademark? Let's say you have a new client who comes into you and they have a new business. Let's just say you're right in Portland, which is a hotbed of businesses and small businesses and so on. And I'm in Seattle, same difference. So sometimes they're big businesses up here.
Right.
So what is the first thing you tell a client?
So when I talk to my clients, the very first thing I tell them is that the most important reason to get a trademark is so you don't have to rebrand. That's essentially every business owner's biggest fear, I would think, including mine, is that you devote time, energy, money into building a website, getting business cards, promoting your business, getting word of mouth, and then somebody comes along and says, hey, you know what? I registered that name, so you're going to have to stop using it. That's just devastating, especially for small business owners who may not have started with a lot of capital in the first place. So that's really my main reason for pushing trademarks so hard to pretty much everyone I meet, just because, that you don't want to have to rebrand.
Okay, so I don't personally have a business name. It's just now that you're talking, I'm going, why don't I have a business name? Because, LinkedIn says, what is the name of your business and so on. And I've had business names throughout my career, but the most recent business name I have is called the Joanne Victoria Group. Mm-hmm. And do I have to trademark that?
I mean, you don't have to, but if you're concerned at all about somebody potentially stealing that, then you would want to. I think in your case, since it's your name, it's a pretty distinct name. You probably wouldn't have to worry too much, but it's never a bad idea. So.
Okay. So you recommend that people do research first. Where would they do research?
If you're doing it on your own, so attorneys like me have access to special programs where we can do a really awesome exhaustive search. However, in my book, I talk about if you're doing it on your own, you basically would go to the United States Patent and Trademark Office website, uspto.gov, and you would do a trademark search using their system. And I will admit it's a little bit hard. You have to really think about all the iterations, because the problem is that their searching system is, which is called TESS, is very literal. So actually there's a little thing I like to tell my clients to do if they're, wondering why they need a professional search done. If you put in Starbucks with 2 S's, nothing will come up, which is just kind of shocking. But, that's how literal that system is. So, yeah.
That can be difficult. So you recommend going to a trademark attorney such as yourself. Now, do you work out, do you help people outside of Portland?
Yes, because the great thing about trademarks, the other reason I decided to start doing that and only that is that since it's federal, I can literally help anyone anywhere. And work with anyone in any state. So that's really nice.
That's amazing, because most people, aside from what's going on in the world today, most people really don't want to travel anywhere anymore anyway.
Exactly.
And I know that even the drive from Seattle to Portland is what used to be 3.5 hours. I think it's probably, today it's probably 3.5 hours, but during regular time, I'm sure it's over, during the day it's probably well over 4 hours. So if they could contact you via the internet, your website, which is called yellowdoglegal.com, and your email address is NicoleSchaefer22@gmail.com. That's NicoleSchaefer 22@gmail.com. For those of you who don't even want to take the time to look at her website, or wait till the end of this episode so that you can contact her. Do you have any funny, exciting, interesting stories about your clients, obviously without naming them, that you care to share?
About my clients, not really. I wish I had more exciting stories about people I've helped. I have more stories in general about Portland and businesses here that have had to rebrand because they didn't do a trademark search.
Tell us about that, because I'm sure there are people who would love to hear about that.
Yeah, I mean, I find it super fascinating. I am a huge nerd with trademarks, so that might be why. But there have been several businesses here that have had to do that relatively recently, including there's this businessman here who owns a lot of restaurants, a lot of businesses, and he started a chickpea ice cream place. And I guess he didn't bother to do a trademark search, which just shocked me because, again, he owns a lot of businesses. Mm-hmm. And he called it Little Bean. And then Gerber came after him and said, we have a product called Little Beanies. We're not using it, but we have that trademark. So you're going to have to change your name. So he changed it to Little Chickpea. But I was fascinated that he hadn't had a trademark search done. And then there's like a cider company here called Avid Cider, and they were Atlas Cider, but they turn out to be a company on the East Coast, Atlas Brewery, and so they had to change their name too. So just things like that happen here all the time.
It's interesting. I think I heard something or read something. I say heard and read it using the same method. The cider name, I get a monthly magazine called the Seattle Business Magazine, and I think I read something about it in the magazine because they covered different topics, and that's interesting. Atlas Brewery. What gets me is, how would someone not think that the name Atlas Brewery would exist? I mean, this is,
I don't know.
you know what I'm saying? But this is where we've been around as human beings for a while in business. Atlas is a very popular name for many reasons. It's the letter A early in the alphabet. It's also got the icon of the whoever holding the world.
Right.
Somebody wouldn't think that it's been used before and not even check.
That's what fascinates me. I think people just, and I get it because sometimes I do this as well. I get very excited about whatever I've just thought of, whatever business venture I've decided to pursue that week. And sometimes, before at least wouldn't have thought about, that name might be used. I would generally do like a domain name search. And if the domain name was available, I would assume I was okay, which is just not true. I think people just kind of get excited and they don't necessarily think about the practical stuff. So
you're right. They do get excited, and then they're off the path.
Exactly.
So let's talk about how long does it take to get a trademark?
Sure. So if you're doing it yourself, obviously, you could probably do the search in a day, and then decide whether, based on what you find, decide whether you want to apply. If an attorney's doing it, they'll do the comprehensive search and an opinion letter, which basically says, hey, I looked at all the results for you, so you didn't have to, and here's my opinion. Your risk level is low, medium, high. Then depending on whether someone wants to go forward with the application, I should say the search and the opinion letter take about 1 to 2 days for me, just because, again, I'm a nerd. If they decide to apply right now, it's taking about 6 to 9 months to get a registration, assuming you don't get an office action.
What does it mean, an office action? What does that mean?
So essentially that means that whoever examined your trademark application decided there was either a administrative issue, meaning, oh, you didn't describe that logo very well. I want a different description. Or, oh, you didn't choose the right category, or something like that. Those are really easy to take care of, not a big deal. Or they decide there's a substantive issue, which means, we think there's a likelihood of confusion with another name, another brand that's out there. Then someone would have to write a brief and basically argue with them and show them why there's not a likelihood of confusion. And obviously those are more difficult and time consuming, but
Wasn't there one of the Kardashians in the past few months had a problem? I don't know if it was
yes.
a part. Yeah, I can't remember I'm sure you remember what the names.
I believe it was Kim. She was trying to trademark kimono. And,
oh, jeez.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh like that.
Oh, I laughed. Don't worry. I doubt she even got as far as an office action. They probably just rejected her right off the bat because anyway.
Yeah, we won't go. But I think one of her sisters, the one that is an alleged billionaire,
Mm-hmm.
I think she tried with something with her name as well, too. But, probably. But if you don't try, you don't know, too, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you always can try. The worst thing that can happen is they say no, and sometimes you'll get through. That happens a lot with the cannabis people, actually, is that they've gotten so creative and stuff. They're all getting through now, and people were not thinking that would be possible. So you never know.
That's the truth. You never know in most anything in life, but certainly. So let's just go back to page 1 of my notes. If you want a copy of Nicole Schaefer's brief on DIY trademarks and coronavirus, send her an email at the address that I gave you before, Nicole Schaefer, NicoleSchaefer 22 and put DIY trademarks in the subject line, because I'm sure she gets lots of emails, and we don't want to just take up a lot of space for nothing. Think about it. DIY trademarks in the subject line, and she will send you or email you. It's downloadable?
Yes, it's just a PDF.
There you go. These reports are really important when somebody has taken the time and energy, such as Nicole, to put this thing together for you during this time. And I know there are some other things on her website at yellowdoglegal.com that you might be interested in as well. But this is really the key to this conversation. And I will ask my listeners, as I usually do, please re-listen to this podcast, download it and re-listen to it, or just re-listen to it on your computer. I know a lot of people listen to these on their phone, and share it with others, because once you re-listen and listen to the things that Nicole Schaefer has told you, you will see things and hear things that you know are important. And don't name your company Atlas Brewery, please. And as Nicole says, the first thing to do is check the URL to see if it's available. And if it's available, you might double check again, because Atlas Brewery, I'm sure, has been taken up like 40 years ago. Or actually, that's before internet, right? Yeah. So are there any final clues or strategies you can tell our listeners about trademarks and brand protection?
I think just maybe make a list of alternative names just in case. You don't want to get super excited about one name and then discover that you can't use it. It's I know how that is. Yeah, if I'd be devastated if somebody came along and said, you can't use Yellow Dog Legal anymore. So it's just a good idea to do it before you get too invested in a certain brand name. Protecting yourself. And
where did Yellow Dog Legal come from?
So I have 3 dogs, and 2 of them are yellow labs. And so I was trying to find a firm name that wasn't just my name, because everyone does that here. And Yellow Dog Legal.
I figured that's what it was, but I thought I'd let you tell the audience. Okay, I want to thank Nicole Schaefer for being here today. It's been very informative. Don't forget to, if you want a copy of DIY Trademarks and Coronavirus, send her an email at NicoleSchaefer22@gmail.com. Put DIY Trademarks in the subject line, and I'm sure she'll send you the PDF as soon as she can. I want to thank Nicole for being here. I want to thank my listeners for listening, and I would also recommend that you go to the Apple aspect of this podcast and give Nicole and the podcast 5 stars, because Nicole deserves it. She has informed you of something that you don't have to research. It's been done for you. And if you want to hire her, go to yellowdoglegal.com. Thanks, everybody. It's been a great time together. Take care.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sanity Project podcast. Please go to AskJoanneVictoria.com to listen to more podcasts. Check out Joanne's coaching programs and get a free copy of her report, 5 Steps to Achieve Life-Work Harmony. That's AskJoanneVictoria.com. Take care, and thanks for being here.